अभी करना है कि you will do it on your own? Okay, it's better if you do it on your own, and you have to mark your time also. Have you written your doubts?
Some of this solution where they don't give a proper explanation for every answer. The
Explanation is very. And some. Did you find all the questions correct? Because I went through one of the mock tests yesterday. The questions were like
the one that came last week.
अभी जो लाइव था
आज
कल जो लाइव था उससे पहले वाला some questions were here.
But you did the practice question, so given the section chapter test, I gave one test, and in that there was this one question which did not make sense. I could hear this question.
Okay, so in this you have different sentences. And in each of the sentences, you have to mark either A or B option. And when you write it over here, say for one, you mark A. So A comes first. Second one, you mark B. So it will be A, B. So A, B, B, A, that way. So the whole thing, when you see, like the A says B, A, B, A, that means all four of the options, which one you have selected. Right? See the screen? Put on AC it. Hello. Where were you moving? Which session में? Native place. क्या हो गया? ऐसे. Yes, good afternoon, Yashu. Good afternoon, Parth.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. See the screen? Screen दिख रहा है?
Yes, ma'am, दिख रहा है.
Present indefinite, like the usually you will say the to do one. Yeah. See, present perfect is what has, right? I have to do, or I am doing. I am doing is continuous. This is to be done is present indefinite.
This one says have a great day.
. Have a great day. So just this is just present in here. Yeah. So have a great day. Like you're not using a verb as such. So when you're talking about a tense, it is a statement with the verb. So just have a great day is an indefinite. Any other questions you have? Okay, before we move on, any questions from the exercises? You said. Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I had a question on question number 10 from exercise 1.
Question number 10 from exercise. Okay. ये कौन सा है? Fill in the blanks वाले का बोल रहे हैं?
हाँ ma'am, no human being in this world is.
Being in this world is what? Yeah. So infallible, irrevocable, irrefutable, inestimable, and irresistible. So when you're talking about a human being, you're talking about the nature of the human being, right? So would you say irrevocable? The infallible means? Yes, you're sure what does infallible mean?
Ma'am, I'm not aware.
Huh?
I'm not aware, ma'am, what it means.
Okay, so infallible would be like not perfect, right?
Oh, yes.
So human being would be infallible, would be correct. Irrevocable, what does irrevocable mean? Anybody? Something that cannot be revoked, that is cannot be rectified, right? Irrefutable means
You can't refuse it.
can't refute it or can't debate it, right? Inestimable,
You can't estimate it.
irresistible. Yeah, so the only logical word is infallible. Any other questions?
Ma'am, what does irrevocable mean? What does irrevocable mean?
Revocable. Revoke means?
Like withdrawing or pulling back.
Yeah. So irrevocable is something that cannot be
Acha.
turned back or cannot be mended. Okay, what else? Any other question? 14. I am always the first to admit that I have not accomplished everything that I promised when I thought it would be that I dash achieved 5 years ago, right? So I have not accomplished everything that thought to. It is not absolutely wrong, but like you wanted to do something or you thought to do something. What would fit in best? Wanted to. So settle. Right? You just think of something, obviously you won't achieve. But you want to do something and then you are saying I have. Okay, any other question? You haven't gone through whatever we've done?
Oh,
You run the homework, any doubts?
Yes, in the third question, exercise 1.
Third question, exercise 1.
Yes, ma'am.
What problem hai? They couldn't understand what the speaker said as all his statements were what. So if you don't understand something means there is no clarity. Right? So what would go in? Harsh? Nahin, na? Provoking? Nahin. Provoking means? Yeah. Ambiguous?
Yeah, I felt that the question and variables that
Ambiguous होगा. See, the rudeness नहीं होगा, provoking harsh नहीं होगा. Audible, his statements were audible, so you should have understood. Audible can't come. So the only word is am. Okay, question 22. Okay, punishment is dash and dash a lot of wrong things. So now if you see the last part, dash a lot of wrong things. So what does punishment do? It will prevent wrong things, right? It will prevent a person from doing wrong. So now if we begin with the second blank, that's easier. So in prevents can be, encourages, no. नहीं आएगा. Ensures wrong things, नहीं आएगा. Prohibits can be, yeah.
None is the right answer.
Hmm?
Just need the right answer.
E.
Yeah.
Nullifies. Punishment nullifies wrong things. Will you say punishment nullifies? No. Punishment is not doing away with wrong things. Somebody is punishing you for something you've done means you know that next time I won't do this. So prevents will be a better word. So in this case, prohibits can be, prevents can be. So B, C, and E are eliminated. We are left with A and D. Now punishment is an evil. Would we take punishment as an evil? No. Punishment is a deterrent, means it stops people from doing things. Right? So A will be the correct answer. You've done 23? You've gone through the meanings, 24 K meanings. You haven't taken meanings? Yeah. Anybody else done 24? Not done 24? So what's the meaning of preemptorily? There are lots of words. Preemptorily, ascribed, aberrant, complacently. I hope you've written your meanings. There are also a lot of new words in number 19. Did you write your meanings for number 19 words? Yeah. Anybody else? You've done 19? So do you know the meanings? If you attempted the question, you should have been able to figure out the meanings. You just guessed. So you got your answer? What is the meaning of wanton? Wanton. You can write it down. It's like an action which would be hurting somebody, deliberately done to hurt somebody. Right? Immunized. Somebody immune means you are not going to be affected by anything, by any disease or bacteria or somebody's words or.
What is the meaning of wanted?
Wanted means action which would be deliberately done to hurt somebody.
How would we use wanted sentence?
Like you can say what he said was not good. It was wanted to cause trouble. Right? That way you can do that.
This is an action delivery tend to be a month back.
Yeah. It's a negative word. Yeah. Vitriolic, meaning of vitriolic. Yashav and Parth, have you done the exercises?
Yes, ma'am. I have.
Doubts?
Ma'am, no, that was the only significant doubt which I had. The other ones were solvable.
Parth, did you do? Parth, are you there? Yes, Parth, I hope you can hear me. Okay, vitriol.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I am facing a few issues, network issues. Can I rejoin?
Okay, you can rejoin. So vitriolic meaning you found? Vitriol means what? What comes into your mind when you say vitriol? It's an acidic sort of thing, right? So vitriolic is full of hatred. Yes. क्या हो गया? ट्रेन नहीं मिला. ट्रेन नहीं मिला. Just came late. Yes. पीछे मत बैठो, you won't be able to see the screen. Come sit somewhere here. Okay. So vitriolic means full of hatred, right? Have you done homework? Yes. Any doubts? Alienated, you know. Alienate means to move away from, withdraw. So when your friends alienate from you means they move away from you. Vitriolic means full of hatred. Pungent, you know. Yeah. So it's a caustic thing. Like we remember we did caustic. Same. Pungent. What is pungent?
Ma'am, it's a type of odor, like a.
So when you talk about somebody's nature or somebody speaking, if you say pungent in the context of a person, what would it be? Repulsive nature? Pungent means a strong smell which is not good, repulsive. You can use it in the sense of repulsive. Yeah. Animated, you know. Yeah. So can you give me a word which could replace animated in a sentence when you're talking about a person? Animated would be like when you say a still thing is animated, means you add movement into it. So when you talk about a person, means energetic, full of energy. So a word we have come across earlier, which means full of energy. Yes, good afternoon. So लोग इतने late क्यों आ रहे हो? So animated can be like vivacious. We did vivacious earlier. Okay. Recalcitrant. Did you look up the meaning? Whenever you do an exercise, please look up the difficult words. If you don't know a word, look it up. So recalcitrant would mean unruly, something that is not easy to control. Right? Okay, so in exercise 1, any other questions? नहीं है ना? Exercise 1 में कोई doubts है?
Ma'am, question 24.
Question 24. Okay. Exercise 1.
Yes,
Right?
ma'am.
And what was the
Recalcitrant was unruly, something that is not easy to control. Or it's like if you look at the exact definition, means somebody who doesn't want to follow rules.
So we can this will people so hard to control.
Or somebody who is defiant. Right. Okay, 24. Cannot dash bring into picture some dash outsider which has little experience and necessary consents to deal in the oil field. Yeah. So it's talking about a person who is being brought in, doesn't have experience and doesn't have consent. Means doesn't have any recommendation, right? So means cannot just randomly bring in somebody who is inexperienced, right? Some dash outsider. So some outsider who is even not even related to it, right?
Ma'am, one thing I wanted to ask in this is that after the second blank, outsider which has little experience and necessary consents to deal in the oil field. Ma'am, so the adjective little, ma'am, it goes with only experience or with experience and with necessary consent?
Little experience and necessary consent, that is, doesn't have the experience or the consent.
Ma'am, so little will go with both experience and consent, you mean?
It will go with both.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because it doesn't say does not have experience. Yeah, it says little experience and consent. So both will be in the negative sense.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
what is the answer according to that? Which word will be close to random?
Ma'am, then it should be D, right? Unrelated.
Arbitrarily could go in. So what is the meaning of peremptorily? Have you looked up? Peremptorily means unquestionable authority. Right? Write your words. Write the meaning. Unquestionable authority. Or imperious, that is somebody who cannot be defeated. Ascribe means, that's a simple word. Ascribe. Attributed to, right? Or credited to. Democratically, you know, aberrant means something that is an aberrant, means something that doesn't fit. It's an anomaly. So none of these words will fit in, right? Cannot bring in peremptorily, could fit in, but ascribe wouldn't. Complacently means complacent. What would that mean? Aberrant. Aberrant would be something that doesn't fit in, anomaly. Right? Complacent means, what is complacent? Somebody who's willing to give in or willing to do something that way. Or you can say amiable, right? Endorse, you know. Endorse means when you are recommended, you are endorsed or supported, and usually is used in an official tone. So now complacently will not fit into the first blank, so we are left with arbitrarily and unrelated. Right? You cannot bring in, cannot arbitrarily bring into the picture some unrelated outsider, which has, in fact, it should be who has little experience and experience. Yeah, got it? So on.
Yes, ma'am, got it.
Okay.
Ma'am, could you explain why complacently won't come in the first blank once again?
Complacently would be amiably or like willingly. Yeah,
Okay,
it doesn't really fit into the logic of the sentence.
okay, understood. Got it.
Good afternoon, Harini.
Good
You there?
afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Can you be a little louder?
Good afternoon. Is this better?
Yeah. So we were discussing the assignment. Do you have any doubts from exercise 1 and 2?
No, ma'am. No doubts.
No doubts? You've done all of them?
Yeah,
Have you written your difficult words?
I did, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, good. So any other question? You said exercise 2, which question? Exercise 2? 11. Yeah, these were a few words which you can take. No. So it takes a lot of dash to talk to your boss like that. So did you look up the meanings of labyrinth? Chupsat? Yeah, whatever it is. I don't know how to pronounce it. Bravery and sobriety. Did you look up the meaning?
I guess not well.
Hmm?
Not correctly. I'm working.
Yeah, reverie means it's related to reverence, right? Like respect, sort of. Sobriety,
The option B, which means audacity.
audacity.
The I'm
So it takes a lot of audacity, like it's not just bravery, but like in more of the sense that you damn somebody that way.
Yeah, like audacity to do anything without caring about the consequences. Audacity is
Audacity can be, usually it is in the negative sense, can also be sometimes depending upon the context it has. Audacity comes in usually in the negative sense. So what does labyrinth mean? You can look up the meaning.
option B.
Yeah, the answer is option. Labyrinth usually would mean the expanse of something. Right? Okay, so now you people will complete exercise 2. Those who haven't completed exercise 1, they'll complete. Yeah. And exercise 2 you will complete. Exercise 3 will hold for now. And write the meanings of all words you come across. Okay. Okay, now when you're doing exercise 2, one thing I want you people to do is mark your time. Yeah. First, do the questions. Like you take 10 questions, complete the 10 questions, see how much time it took. After you've completed, you go back to the questions and look up the meanings. Yeah. If you don't know a meaning, mark it, go back to it. But now you have to work on your timing. Right? Just doing the questions, okay. Timing is also important. Right? Okay, so now today we will move
Mama
on.
had one more doubt. Mama had one more doubt.
Which
From
one?
question 23,
Of
exercise 2.
exercise 2.
Yes.
Yeah, so this question talks about they dash their seats away from. Question number 23.
23, yes.
23 or 22? क्या बोला?
From 23, 2, 3.
Says 223. This I should not have dash, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I should not have dashed to talk in such a dash train, especially when I had not studied the man to whom I was talking. So you didn't know anything about the person, and you spoke in a way which you regretted,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So usually, so you will be looking for a negative word in the second blank.
Yes.
Yeah. So I
Yes,
should
ma'am.
I should not have what? So you should have not have spoken in a bad way or a, so you can say reckless or bold. Commanding, don't think so will come in. could come in, of course. Commanding strain or commanding way, right? Now, but daring, does daring fit in grammatically?
No, ma'am.
If
No.
it said, if it was day, it could fit in. Daring doesn't fit in. So A is eliminated, right? Now, if you come to B, you ventured and preemptory strain. Preemptory means domineering, or you expect somebody to obey you.
No, in an intimidating way.
Yeah, intimidating strain. Now that preemptory could fit in, but ventured, when do you use ventured? You venture into something which is risk taking. Yeah, you venture into something new. So ventured will not fit in for you. So C can be eliminated. Now B, tried and bold, they can fit in. D, I should not have emboldened to talk. Emboldened doesn't fit in. Grammatically incorrect. Yeah. And reckless strain, you are not reckless in your yeah, reckless bold is more or less the same thing, but emboldened won't fit in.
Is golden.
Bold is, it depends upon the context. So depending upon the context, it could be positive or negative. You should be bold enough to do something. He was too bold. Usually positive, but if the context is negative, then also. If you don't have any other option, then bold. Right? Yes. So you got it?
Ma'am, but in the explanation on page 92, ma'am,
Mhm.
they've talked about, they've mostly talked about the option C, ma'am, with ventured and
Yeah, they said
peremptory.
C won't fit in. This is
Um,
C ventured means risk taking, but in this case, it won't really fit in. I should not have ventured to talk in such a way. So if you look at the explanation, number 24, no? No, 23.
23.
23, it says, when venture is combined with it gives the idea that there has been a very commanding way of telling something, and this person is not very familiar with the man he is talking to, he has risked it. So
Ma'am,
now,
but this does
risking
not sound
something,
very wrong, right?
pardon?
Ma'am, but this explanation does not sound very wrong, right, ma'am? It can be true.
The way they have written it doesn't sound very wrong, but here
Yes.
it's about when you're talking to somebody and then it says, I have not studied the man. So I should not have taken the risk, usually will come in if the context is that something went wrong. You failed,
All
right?
right.
So I shouldn't have taken the risk. This was the repercussion. So the repercussion was bad, so the risk was not good. But in this case, I don't think venture logically fits in.
Okay.
PMT could fit in, but not venture. So we go with tried and bold. I should not have tried to talk in such a way, such a bold strain. That makes sense. Okay, any other? Okay, so question 26 to 29 have you done? So in these you have each blank taken separately. These are the closed passages where you will get the numbers of each blank and options relating to only that blank, right? Okay, so we don't have any other doubts. We'll move on. So today we will move on to paragraph completion. So this is just an extension of the sentence completion. So sentence completion, what were the strategies you took? So you had a 3 or 4 sentences with 3 or 4 blanks. What was that? There was a passage, right? So what is the first thing you do? read breakdown, right? Try to understand. Look at the keywords, connect the ideas, and get your logical conclusion or logical words. Now, when we talk about paragraph completion, you'll get a paragraph, short paragraph, say about 4 or 5 sentences, or maybe 2 sentences sometimes, where a part of the sentence is missing, they're also there. So when you're talking about paragraph completion, usually it is so the same way in as if you were tested in the sentence completion, would it test you for your comprehension skills? What else? What else did it test? Did it test you? Your thought process, how do you connect the ideas? Do you understand what the passage is trying to say? Your ability down here, it is your ability to conclude something. It is what should come in, right? And when you have an entire passage, you have to come to the main idea. So, summarize the passage, right? What else? So when you have now, you have an entire passage, maybe the first sentence is missing, or concluding sentence or a middle sentence is missing. So when you have an entire sentence missing, what do you have to do? You have to figure out what will fit in. What will fit in? Something that is in tune with the rest of the paragraph. So continuation of an idea is what you have to look for. So the types of questions you will get is sometimes the introductory sentence goes missing. What does an introductory sentence in a paragraph usually do? Mandate. So when you're talking about a paragraph, introductory sentence will give you an idea what the paragraph is talking about. So it is what we call a topic sentence, right? So that will come from reading the paragraph. What is the main idea of the paragraph that will usually go into the topic sentence. Next, you can have a connecting sentence or middle sentence missing anywhere in the paragraph. In the second sentence, third sentence, what is the? So if you have 5 sentences, maybe the fourth sentence is missing. So how do you figure that out? Connect the ideas. What is said in the previous sentence? What is said in the next sentence? Or you can have a concluding sentence. What are the concluding sentences do? It really sums up the idea or gives us a conclusion that because of all these things, this can happen. Or it can maybe, so these paragraphs are usually parts of passages, right? So a concluding sentence in a paragraph can also set up the background for a new idea. All these things are possible. So in all of these, what is important? Read carefully. If you forget to read carefully, will you be able to get to your answer? Not possible. Yeah. Or you can get to an answer which is misleading. So analyzing carefully is the most important. Let's look at this question to understand what these look like. So you have a paragraph about 3 or 4 sentences. Yeah. So I need to So most firms consider expert individuals to be too reckless, temperamental, egocentric, and difficult to work with. Right? First sentence, what are they talking about? So now when you have, okay, before we read, what are the things that you are going to look for in the passage? What are you going to look for? Tone of the passage, yes. What else? Now there are 4 sentences, so in each sentence, what are you going to pick up? Introduction is there. So you look for clues, right? So you look for keywords. So keywords, transitions, summary or the gist of the paragraph. And there's another thing which is important, which is the scope. Like we did in the sentence completions, words that don't fit in. So you also look for ideas that don't fit in, right? So it may be somehow related, but doesn't fit in completely, or something that is completely different. That's what we will eliminate. And when we're talking about a concluding sentence, something that is logical, right? So if you look at this, people can see the trade is small. So most firms so they consider expert individuals to be elitists. So the first sentence is talking about what expert individuals are like, right? So if you can't see, then you can come this side. It's not in this. It's like bunch of questions again. Yeah. So elitist, temperamental, egocentric, difficult to work. Yeah. So what type of characteristics are these? All negative characteristics. We're talking about expert individuals, and they are too elitist, that is, they think too high of themselves. They're temperamental, will work according to their will, egocentric, and difficult to work with. Force such people to collaborate on high stakes project. Okay, can you tell them the question number so everyone can follow on? This is module 4.
It's 18 and 15.
Page
Page 81.
80.
Question.
You follow from the book, you have a module 4, main line, and written. Then see. Yeah, okay. So now forces people to collaborate on a high stakes project. So you are wanting them to collaborate. So will they collaborate? With everybody? Yeah. On a high stakes project, and they just might come to fisticuffs. That is, they will. What do you mean by fisticuffs? Argument or fight. Yeah, fisticuffs literally means using your hands to fight. Even the very notion of managing such a group seems unimaginable. So managing is also unimaginable. So even if they are expert people, working with them is difficult. That's the gist of it so far. So most organizations fall into the default mode, setting up project teams of people who get along nicely, right? So they will be working with people who get along nicely. Now we need a conclusion. Your conclusions are the result, however, is disastrous. The result is mediocrity. Result is creation of experts who then become elitists. Naturally, they drive innovations. Now we said that experts are not easy to work. Now, if they are looking for people who get along nicely, are they experts? Not likely, right? So if we are not working with experts, what are we expecting? What is the conclusion? What type of work is coming out? Mediocre. So can we say disastrous? Not really disastrous. But if we are not working with experts, we can have mediocre work, right? Result is creation. Oh, creation of experts. Can we say we can create experts? That can be an assumption, but not a conclusion, right? And they drive innovation also the same as 3. So eliminate 3, 4, and 1. So our answer is result is negative. So what did we do? How did we deal with the passage?
By using the code and by eliminating.
Eliminating is last. First thing, find the key elements. Then go into the gist. Make some inferences, right? And then come to your conclusion. Okay? So now, as always, we work on strategies. So what was our strategy? First thing, identify the concept or the gist, understand this concept and scope. So here in that particular question, what was beyond the scope? Getting innovations, right? So that was something that we can't really say. So what is beyond the scope is something we can't really say. What else? We looked at the subject area and what was not within the limits, or what are the limits of it. Then keywords, and the most important is what is the essence of the passage. So something that is in the context of the passage will be related to your answer. Something that is not in the context will not be related. So last we come to the scope of the passage. So what do we eliminate? We eliminate something that is not in the scope. If you are talking about a conclusion, something that cannot be concluded from the given facts. Now, what is a conclusion? What is the difference between a conclusion and inference? Seems similar. So you are given some facts, you can infer something out of it, and you can conclude something. So when we talk about inference, inference can be like it. Inference does not necessarily have to be one thing. Like innovation can happen, that can be an inference. It is based on the facts, but conclusion has to be only one conclusion, and conclusion is, you can say, the idea of the writer. Inference is the idea of the reader. So idea of the reader can be varied, but the idea of the writer is this. There can be only one conclusion. Inferences can be many, right? So when you come to your logical reasoning, verbal logical reasoning questions, have you done verbal reasoning with Marisa? I know. You have to ask Marisa whether it's good to do it or others will do it. So now tone and style of the paragraph is very important. Whether it's a neutral tone, whether it's positive or negative. And another thing, if you have, say, a middle sentence to fill in, it should keep to the tone of the passage. Yeah, any option which is abruptly changing the tone will not be the answer. Now, as always, your transition words are very important, especially the contrasting transitions. They give a lot of clues. Always identify your transitions. And when we are talking about an entire passage and we are talking about either middle sentence or conclusion, we have to keep to the logical flow of the passage. We can't deviate from what the passage is talking. Yeah. So it goes from, say, it begins with problem, goes on to describing the problem. What will come next? Solution. Right? If it begins with a solution, it will go into describing the solution. Okay. So chain of events is important. If it's talking about, say, war going on. Yeah, the reasons for the war, political treaty done, whether the treaty was successful or a failure. So there's a chronological order. So we have to look at the order of whatever is being said. So anything which deviates from that will not be answered. Right? Or it breaks the sudden flow. So what do we have to look at? Continuity has to be. So through the entire paragraph, we have to keep continuing. So now when we come to eliminating options, something that doesn't fit in logically, right? So we can say something that is not in the scope. Yeah. Something that is not mentioned in the paragraph. Maybe the paragraph is talking about something. Say it is talking about so the government's policies related to taxes. And one of your options is talking about, say, the legal rights of people. Right? So you have to see what is not mentioned. Okay, now this is very important. Extreme choices. So something that is too general and something that is extreme, like especially you have to be very careful when you come across words like always, never, does not, always does, right? So you have to see, does it fit in with what has been said? Usually these extreme words will give you the key that this is not your answer. So you have to think very carefully, analyze, think logically. And another thing, say this is especially for your concluding statements, restatement of any of the sentences given in the passage will not be answered. So something has already been said. One of your options just says that, paraphrases that, says it in a different way, or says only part of it. Eliminate. Yeah. All these will come with practice anyway. And also inference based on only one of the lines. So one of the statements says something and your concluding statement given in your options is only based on that one particular sentence, not the rest of it. Obviously, that cannot be a conclusion related to the entire passage. Whatever you are choosing should relate to the entire passage. And another thing, anything that is not based on the facts in the passage will not be answered. Right? So it should be logically fitting. So there is whatever the passage has said, does the conclusion conform to that or not? Here we are going beyond just words and reasoning whether the words fit in. We are looking at ideas that way, right? Hello, Sarvesh.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
What happened? Hmm?
And I left the meeting by mistake.
Another thing, remember, you have the options are given to you. You have to just think, this can be a conclusion. You have to come to your own conclusion. Okay. Okay. Maybe your own conclusion can differ from what has been written. But you have to come to you have to choose a conclusion or identify a conclusion. That you have to remember. So don't spend your time in thinking what can it be. All you have to do is eliminate. Okay, now if we are looking at the conclusion or the last line you're given a passage, last line is missing. Now, in all probability, it will be a concluding statement. But it can also be a new idea or just an extension of the previous idea. Logical extension of the previous sentence can also be a last sentence missing. Right? Don't always look for conclusion. Maybe conclusions are there, but the conclusions are not logical. So what do you look for? Something that is continuity, that maintains continuity from the previous sentence. So basically, what are we looking for? The scope, theme, tone, logical flow of the passage. Right? Now, if the last line is a conclusion, first of all, you have to see whether you are fitting, now each sentence you take, first you reason out whether it is based on the facts, whether it flows from whatever is given or not. Next, you will see whether it ends the paragraph. It shouldn't be like abruptly ending the paragraph and then there should be something else. You have a feeling that this is not complete. If you talk about a conclusion, it means the paragraph is complete. So if it doesn't seem to be completed, don't go for that. It should be, as we said earlier, it should be derived from what has been given to you. And the line of reasoning logically, it should be the same. Right? And now you could come across words or transitions like in conclusion, therefore, yeah, as expected earlier, or as expected, this happened. The previous sentence maybe was a certain step was taken. the result was this. So that result could be your conclusion. It could be overall as a result of that. Now, if it is a continuation of an idea, then a new idea should not come. Even if it is like we said, if maybe the concluding sentence of previous paragraph sets up the idea of the next paragraph, but there should be a connection to the previous paragraph. Yeah, it should not be a completely new element. And the structure should be similar. Logically, it should have the same flow. And the last line should reflect a smooth transition. That is always it. Not cut off. Yeah. So transition words are important. Again, nouns and pronouns. When do nouns and pronouns become important? Whatever. It, they, these. Right? So that means what is referred to before that. That is especially important when we are talking about middle sentences. The reference to what has been said earlier is very important. Change in tone or logical flow will affect your answer. Okay? Unless there's an argument, it begins with something and it ends up in a different conclusion. Then there would be a change in tone. Otherwise, we maintain the same. And scope, as we said, is very. So this you can go through. All these we discussed. What did we discuss? You have to go into the gist of the paragraph. First thing, read, summarize, essence of the paragraph, scope or limits, tone, logical sequence or direction, transition words, nouns, pronouns, even articles. Articles are also important. Now, if a sentence begins with an, can it be an introduction? Yes. If it begins with the, say the committee decided. Now you have to see, is the beginning abrupt? There should have been a reference to something before that? Yeah. So if it begins with the, you have to see what is before or what should be. And you have to stay away from extremes. And keywords always. So what do you have to mainly do? Connect your ideas. What do you eliminate? Something that is out of scope, not mentioned, something that is contradictory. Contradictory to the idea of the paragraph itself. Extreme choices, restatement of one of the lines, inference based on one of the lines, something that is too broad. Yeah. Anyway. Something that is too narrow. So especially when you're talking about a conclusion, something that is inconsistent to the tone or unworthy. So these should always be eliminated. Okay. So now we spoke about introductory sentence, connecting sentences, and concluding sentences. So you know what is the purpose of each of these and how to find them. Okay, I hope you can see this. Difficult to see, right? Okay, anyway, I will read it out. If you want to come this side, maybe. Huh? Yeah, I'll read it out. So relations between the factory and the dealer are distant and usually strained, as the factory tries to force cars on the dealers to smooth out production. So what is the key in the first sentence? It is talking about the relation between what?
Factory and the reserve.
Okay. So relation between the factory and the dealer. What type of relation do they have? Are distant and strained. So are these positive or negative attributes? Negative. Yeah. Why? Because the factory is trying to force cars on the dealers. Factory is producing and they want all the production to go to the dealers. The dealer hasn't sold enough, but still they are forcing. Next comes the relation between the dealer. The second in line comes the dealer and customer. So when we are talking about dealer and customer, they are equally strained because dealers continuously adjust prices, make deals to adjust demand with supply while maximizing profits. Right? So what does the dealer want to do? Make profit. How? Adjusting the prices to adjust demand and supply. So, and they want to make profit. So they will be increasing the prices or decreasing the prices according to the demand. Now this becomes a system marked by lack of long-term So it is in this becomes a system marked by lack of long-term commitment on either side, which maximizes feeling of distrust. Right? In order to maximize the bargaining position, everyone holds back information. The dealer about the product and the customer about his true desires. So, what is the idea we get from here? The factory has strained relations with the dealer. Dealer has strained relations with the customer. And there's a feeling of distrust. Then it comes to, in order to maximize their bargaining position. So in order to gain something, what should they do? So what do they actually do? Everyone holds back information. So there's a lack of trust. Everyone holds back information. They're not like open. And dealer about the product, customer about his true desires. So we have now, if you look at all of them, they begin with as a result. So because of all this, what has happened? First option says, as a result, deal making becomes rampant without concern for customer satisfaction. Right? Deal making becomes rampant. And without looking for customer satisfaction. So what is customer satisfaction? It is doesn't give an overall idea or based on only one part. Girls, customer satisfaction gives an overall idea or based on only one of the points. So customer, when does the customer come in? The dealer to customer relationship. Does it take into account the factory to dealer relationship? No. So this is based on only one of them. So will this be our conclusion? Not here. B says, as a result, inefficiencies creep into the supply chain. Now, what is the supply chain? When we talk about supply chain, who is concerned? Whom are we talking about? The factory and the dealer. Is a customer coming in? No. So can we conclude this? Inefficiencies creep up into the supply chain. It may creep up into the supply chain, but doesn't give an overall light. Right. As a result, everyone treats the other as an adversary rather than an ally. So when we talk about everyone, customer, factory, dealer, everyone comes in, right? So we are talking about mistrust, holding back information. So,
Mom, in the second one, as a result, inefficiencies creep into the supply chain. Mom, supply chain includes everyone, direct from the factory to the customers.
now when
Just
we
talking about,
yeah, now
so
another thing. This is talking about inefficiencies in the supply chain. In this entire passage, what are we actually talking about?
Mom, that there is mom, the relationships between first of all the dealer and the factory, and then the dealer and the customer.
Our keyword here is relationship.
Yes.
Is inefficiencies in the supply chain important?
Mom, but because of the bad relationships, mom, inefficiencies can creep, right?
Yeah, inefficiencies can creep up. That is a possibility. But we'll see. Do we have a better option or not? Right?
Okay.
So we don't eliminate this in the first place.
Yes,
but
ma'am. Understood.
Now, as a result, everyone treats the other as an adversary rather than as an ally. So everyone is, now we have spoken, they have spoken about mistrust. Everyone holds back information. As a result of that, what is happening? Mistrust, holding back information. Everyone is thinking that this person is not doing things according to my wish. Yeah, or I cannot trust this person. So they become adversaries, is possible, right? Okay, let's look at D. As a result, fundamental innovations are becoming scarce. That is completely out of scope, right? Innovations is not being talked about. As a result, everyone loses in the long run. That is a broader conclusion. Can we say that is the answer? Now what? Now, here we have eliminated, right? We are eliminated. B, inefficiencies creep up in the supply chain is part of the problem. Does it talk about the entire problem? It doesn't talk about relationships. Now, if we look at C, now D we eliminated. Now, what do we have left? C. C says, as a result, everyone treats the other as an adversary rather than ally. Now, is it a
Ma'am,
respect of what has been said?
ma'am,
Right?
adversary, ma'am, it literally means like opponents, right? Means it signifies conflicts and opponents.
You can work together.
Ma'am,
So,
but that would be too extreme, right? And we discussed that we can't
yeah, it
choose an
could be a
extreme case.
little extreme. And if we say it is more or less saying the same thing that they have said earlier, that it maximizes meaning of mistrust, right? no one trusts each other. So it is in a way extreme, and in a way it is just a part of the problem.
Yes, ma'am, but then again, in such a huge industry like an automobile industry, ma'am, the various factors or the various means the levels in the supply chain, ma'am, they can't afford to be adversaries, right?
Yeah, they
Ma'am,
can't
ma'am, but yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
adversaries.
because if they become, ma'am, even though there is
That we
mistrust
have
and
already said that they don't trust each other, right?
yes, ma'am, ma'am,
The
there
relationship
can be mistrust, ma'am, but like adversaries is a one level too much, right?
is too much, but it is related to what they have already said. The relationships are not good between the dealer and the factory, and the dealer and the customer. So this is more or less what they have already stated. Yeah. Now, when we are looking at a conclusion, we need something that is broader and comes out of whatever has been stated. So the only option remaining then is E. As a result, everyone loses in the long run. Right? So maybe we can say that is not the best conclusion, but logically, out of the options given to us, that is what we can get.
Ma'am, E is not wrong, ma'am, but then again, isn't it a very general and vague?
Now, remember what we said? Something that is related to only one of the statements or part of the idea, or something that is extreme, or something that is a restatement, we will eliminate. Right?
All
So
right.
E is only part of the idea. It doesn't take into account everything. Because it says without concern for customer satisfaction. So here our key is customer satisfaction. When we are talking only about customer satisfaction, is the dealer or factory coming into account? No. We are not talking about all the relationships. Whereas if you look at E, it is taking into account all the relationships because nobody is gained. Right? Everybody loses in the long run.
No,
So
no, ma'am. I meant, isn't E very like it's a very vague statement, right? It's very general.
it is general, but it is still something that comes out of the passage.
All right.
Right? So we are talking about the relationships are not good between the factory and dealer, and they've given the reason why. Then they've also said between the dealer and the customer, it's not okay. Then they said everyone holds back information and there's a maximization of mistrust. So based on all these facts, what can we say? We can say that everyone, or we can say that nobody is gaining. So everyone is losing in the long run is the most logical conclusion we get from. Now, the the paragraph completion and parajumble questions are going to be. Yeah, you will not get a very easy answer. You have to, but like here, we can say that C can be an answer. B is also logically possible. So we have to analyze, right? If you fail to analyze properly, keep in mind all the elements that are required. So can we go on to the next question? Any more doubts on this?
No, ma'am.
Okay, now this question. So it says, now demonstrate had a detective agency in Africa at the foot of the Hills. Now, these were its assets. So the assets of the detective agency. What were the assets? Yeah. Another question from the book. Let me go through these.
No, let's stop this.
So that you can read. Yes. We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Wait. Let's complete these examples. There are examples in the book also with explanations. So now because the examples in the book have explanations, I've chosen something that we can do apart from that. So now if we see, now what are they talking about? So we are talking about a detective agency and its assets, right? So what are the assets? A tiny white van. Yes, can you please pay attention a little bit? Huh? What happened?
They're not the name that I had. They're not the name that I had.
You can see it? You can read it? Okay, so I'll read it for you. So the assets were a white fan, 2 desks, 2 chairs, a telephone, and an old typewriter. Right? Then there was a teapot in which Mayor Sway, the only lady private detective in Goodfellow, brewed red blush tea. And 3 mugs, one for herself, one for her secretary, and one for the client. Right? So, if you see what is the tone like? So this lady had a detective agency in Africa, right? Yeah, so and these were the assets of the detective agency. So if you see the assets, there's a little bit of sarcasm, right? Because if you're talking about a detective agency and you say the assets were a white van, 2 desks, 2 chairs, a telephone, old typewriter, and there was a teapot and 2 mugs, one for herself, one for her secretary, and one for the client, 3 mugs. Then they say, what else does a detective agency really need? Right? So, when you're talking about a detective agencies rely on human intuition and intelligence, both of which Mehmed Sway had in abundance. Right? Now we need a concluding sentence. So we will read the options, obviously. But there was also the view which again would appear with no inventory. So now logically, what should follow? They spoke about those physical assets. Then they spoke about human intuition and intelligence. Right? Now, would the view be an asset? No. No inventory would ever include those of course. Inventory means all of you should know what inventory is. Stock, physical things or monetary, capital or total. So no inventory would include what? Human intuition and intelligence. That could be an answer. Yeah, so we do both the name. So no inventory could include that we keep A. She had an intelligence secretary too. Does it? follow what was said earlier? Could be. Intelligence secretary could be an asset. She was a good detective and a good woman. Would that be a conclusion? Not really. Yeah, because what is the gist? There was a detective agency. These were the inventories. Apart from this, what does a detective agency really rely on? Human intuition and intelligence. Did she have human intuition and intelligence? Should be in the conclusion, right? So your answer will be no inventory would ever include those. Right? Logically, we are talking about inventories all along. And then we come to these two attributes. These two attributes, are they included in inventory? But they are assets. Right? So we eliminate A, we eliminate C. So intelligence secretary could be an asset, but it doesn't connect to the bigger sentence. So that's the answer.
Mom, why did you eliminate option D?
Why did we? No,
Eliminate, mom, because a good woman. No, mom, D.
B. She was a good detective and a good woman. Now,
Mom,
good
because a good woman, right?
woman we now what are we looking for? What is the say the idea in the paragraph? If you see the first part of the paragraph is talking about assets, right?
Yes, mom.
So being a good detective and good woman, is it an asset of a detective? If we say she's a good detective,
Mom,
talking about an asset here.
mom, not excluding the good woman part. If it only would have been a good detective, mom, then we can say that mom is given that she had human intelligence and
What are we
intuition,
looking
right?
for? That these were its assets. A detective agency. What are the assets of a detective agency? And the first part is talking about inventories. Those are like it is sarcastically saying that this is what they have. And if you
All
look,
right.
the key comes from the last part. What else does a detective agency do? Right?
Mom, but it is given that detective agency rely on human intuition and intelligence, both of which this person had in abundance.
Yeah.
So we can say that she was a good detective if she had that.
So now, what is your conclusion have to relate to? The idea in the passage,
All right.
right?
Yes.
Now, the idea in the passage is these were the assets, and a detective agency relies on human intuition and intelligence, right?
Okay.
And these she had. But are these inventories, as we discussed earlier?
Mm, No.
Right? So
All
what's
right.
in this paragraph? Now you have to, when you come to a conclusion, you have to see what the writer wanted to say.
Okay.
Why did the writer talk about assets like a white wine to this, etc., etc.? Right?
Okay. Okay. Understood.
That's where we come to those were inventories, and no inventory would include human intuition and intelligence. Now, she was a good detective and a good woman are her attributes, but does it relate to the rest of the paragraph? Right? So it doesn't really relate to the first part of the paragraph. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
So we can be misled. We can say that, okay, she was a good detective and good woman. Can be a conclusion. Logically, also, it can be a conclusion. But does it relate to what has been said? Right? So the very purpose of enumerating all those assets is gone if we select the last one. Got it now? So we have to
Yes,
keep
ma'am.
to the tone and essence of the paragraph. Right? If you want to do these, maybe you will do these next time when we get a bigger screen. Yeah, everyone's got your volume 4. Got- okay. Now, instead of going through the solved examples, we will try to force. You can get. So practice set 1. Page 84. It's a big paragraph. Now here we have the middle sentence missing instead of the concluding sentence. Right? So if you have a middle sentence missing, what do you look for? You need to look for clues, right? What clues do you need for this? Okay, the first one. I'll try to get it on the screen. So you want to read aloud? Huh? Don't have the book? Huh? So who has their books over here? How many books are available? Let's see. You have a book?
Yeah.
So can you pair up? These people don't have this. Okay, any one of you come here, look at this one. So. Hmm? Your eyesight is very good. So both of you have books? Oh. Okay, so read it. It says women's rights around the world are an important indicator to understand global well-being. Right? The major global women's rights treaty was ratified by the majority of the world's nations a few decades ago. Okay, everyone online, we are doing module 4, exercise 1. Sorry, it's page 84 to be precise. Question 1. Soham, Harini,
Yes, ma'am. Got it.
you have
Yes,
your
ma'am.
book? Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So, a major global women's rights treaty was ratified by the majority of the world's nations a few decades ago. Then you have a sentence missing. Okay? Next sentence is these range, okay, it won't be ranges, it should be range. Range from cultural, political, and economic. For example, women often work more than men, yet they are paid less. Gender discrimination affects girls and women throughout their lifetime. And women and girls are often the ones that suffer the most problem. Many may think that women's rights are only an issue in countries where religion is law, etc., etc. Right? So, what do we see in this paragraph? It begins with an introduction about women's rights are important. Important indicator of their global well-being.
Ma'am, yeah, you will just two paragraphs.
Huh?
I do this paragraph.
Yeah. You can get this big paragraph. You can get this big, you can get smaller, you can get 2 sentences. Depends. Okay, so we need to deal with it. Now, if you have a big paragraph like this and your missing sentences in the beginning, what do you have to do? Now we are talking about a missing sentence, right? Right? So we read what is before, what is after, get an idea of what the paragraph is talking about. So what is the paragraph actually talking about? If you read the second sentence, that gives us the major clue. What is it? A major global women's rights treaty was ratified by the majority of the world's nations a few decades ago. So we are talking about a treaty. And what do we have in the rest of the paragraph? So they are giving examples of what were the solutions that came out. Right? So now, in your third sentence, that is after the now these should be range. These range from cultural, political to economic. Now, what does these refer to? Right? That has to come in the blank. What are these related to? So, now your options are, this treaty tackled and solved a number of issues related to women. Yeah. Rest of the paragraph is talking about the issues and what was done about them. Now, this sentence itself, these range from cultural, political, economic. The issues range from cultural, political to economic could be. Why it is then that women still face a number of problems? Can that be an answer? It is not talking about anything related to this. Thus, the woman today is 10 times more empowered out of scope, right? Women's activists across nations have implored the respective governments to take this seriously. So that is talking about the problem. Is it talking anything about the treaty? No. Eliminate all of them. A is your answer. That is doable. That's better. So now you have a huge paragraph. If you have a huge paragraph, getting to your answer will be easy. इतना याद रखना कि अगर क्वेश्चन कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है आंसर मिलना इजी होगा. If the question is easy, your options will be complicated. Right? So big paragraph, did we have to really read the entire paragraph? No. First 3 lines are enough. So first 3 lines give an idea, even if we just browse through the rest of the paragraph, we know, okay, it is talking about the various problems and the solutions. Okay, now the next question. Question number 2. Can read from the book. Don't strain your eyes too much. It says research has shown that air pollutants from fossil fuel use make clouds. Okay, fossil fuel use. Research has shown that air pollutants from fossil fuel use make clouds reflect more of the sun's rays back into the space. This leads to an effect known as global dimming, whereby less heat and energy reach the earth. Now again, you have a sentence missing. The next sentence begins with however, a contrasting transition. However, it is believed that global dimming caused the droughts in certain parts of the world where millions died because the northern hemisphere oceans were not warm enough to allow rain formation. Global dimming is also hiding the true power of global warming. A cleaning of global dimming causing pollutants without taking greenhouse gas emission, rapid warming has been observed, and various human health and ecological disasters have resulted, as witnessed during the European heat wave in 2003, which saw thousands of people die. So, what is the essence of the paragraph? It's talking about global dimming, right? And what else is coming in? Global warming is also coming in some way. How? Tell me. What is the relationship? It is talking about fossil fuels, make clouds, and global warming. And what is global dimming doing? Less heat and energy reaches the earth. So when less heat and energy reaches the earth, what is it doing? Warming नहीं होगा. So is global warming and global dimming the same thing? Huh? Yes or no? No. So what is it saying? What is the contrast there? global dimming did cause the droughts in certain parts of the world, it is believed. Now they aren't saying that we are sure about it, they believe. Where millions died because the northern hemisphere oceans are not warm enough. So now this contrast, however, what should it relate to? It should relate to something said in the previous sentence. Okay. So now what are we connecting? Global warming, global dimming, because of global, this leads to an effect called global dimming. Global dimming means heat doesn't reach. However, global dimming causes droughts. So now if we look at the options, this though does not bring any relief to problem associated with climate change. Did we speak about climate change in the first sentence? No. Does it relate? Does it relate to climate change? Out of scope. B says this phenomena is part of climate change problem. However, it is believed that global dimming caused droughts. Does it logically follow? Yes or no? No. So B is also eliminated. We come to C. Scientists thus believe that this phenomenon goes hand in hand with global warming. So we have global warming on one side, we have global dimming on one side, and they are saying this next sentence says, however, it is believed that global dimming caused droughts. Now we know global warming does cause droughts, right? So global dimming cause droughts means there should be something in relation to global warming. So we can say this. At first, it sounds like an ironic savior to climate change problems. Does it make sense? Because it says global dimming there, whereby less heat and energy reaches the earth. Okay, if you look only at that sentence, we can say that it is a savior to climate change problem. But are we anywhere in the paragraph talking about climate change as such? Are we talking about climate change? Climate change should take into account what? The various factors that lead to climate change. But here we are talking about two specific phenomena: global dimming and global warming. And what are the repercussions? So would D be an answer? Yes or no? Megha?
Mom,
Yeah?
but it's written that droughts, the global dimming has caused droughts in certain parts of the world, right?
Yeah.
Why can't that be seen as a result of climate change?
Now look at the rest of the paragraph. Are they talking about climate change in the rest of the paragraph? There should be some reference to climate change, right? Right. So global, now when we talk about climate change, they should be talking about the effect of global dimming, the effect of global warming, and how it is bringing about a change in the weather patterns, right? In that case, we would be going with climate change, but the rest of the paragraph is not even talking about climate change. There's no reference to climate change as a broader phenomenon. Here we are talking about only these two smaller entities. Yes, Harini?
But global dimming goes hand in hand with global warming. After that, how are we saying, however, it is believed that global dimming caused droughts? However, poses an idea which is different from the previous one, right?
Yeah.
Or it contrasts with
That's
it.
what they're saying. So that is what the contrast is coming in. If you look at the first sentence, that fossil fuels result in cloud formations, and this leads to an effect known as global dimming, whereby less heat and energy reach the earth. Right?
Understood, ma'am. The oceans were not warm enough to allow rain formation. That's why there's a contrast. Got it.
So we have a contrast to now when we talk about global warming, means global warming we know causes droughts, causes increase in temperatures. So what is the meaning of the contrast? Global dimming causes droughts in certain parts of the world. So that means it goes hand in hand. Right? So however, global dimming causes droughts. Now, global warming is one side of the spectrum, global dimming is the other side of the spectrum. But still we see that global dimming is causing droughts. And then they have gone on to answer. So out of the other options given, A talks about climate change, B talks about climate change, D also talks about climate change. But in the entire paragraph, we are not talking about climate change. So we can eliminate those. So what are we left with? We are left with C. Right? So we go by the process of elimination to get to our answer. Okay? Okay, now we can do question number 3. Okay, now next question number 3. It says, poverty is a state for the majority of the world's people and nations. So what is the keyword here? We are talking about poverty. Yeah, majority of the world's people and nations are affected by poverty. Why is this? There's a question posed. Why is this? Now we need something in the middle. Have they been lazy? We are coming up with a pronoun they, right? Have they been lazy, made poor decisions, have been solely responsible for their own plight? And then next sentence says, what about their governments? Have they pursued policies, etc., etc.? Such cases of poverty and inequality have no doubt really. Yeah, no doubt here. Okay, so between the second sentence and the third sentence, what do we see? We have a they. So there should be some reference to they in the sentence missing, right? So why is this and have they been lazy? Who are lazy? Governments are lazy? Huh? Have they been lazy, made poor decisions, been solely responsible for their own plight? So if you look at the options given, even if we don't read the rest of the passage, A says it is enough to blame poor people for their own predicament. Yeah, we were talking about poverty. Who is to blame? Why is this? We blame the poor people for their own predicament. Could be. What is the government doing about it? Has the government been lazy? Can we say the government is lazy? And has brought on their own plight? The government is not poor. So we can't take B. C says, are the wealthy ones in the nation even aware of this? Are the wealthy ones lazy and poor? That's a contradiction. Right? We're talking about people who are poor. Have they brought upon this?
Asking questions.
Yeah,
So we can ask, are the wealthy ones in the nation?
yeah. So what now in the next sentence we have they been lazy, made poor decisions, have been solely responsible for their own plight? Are the wealthy ones going through poverty?
No, it's asking that the wealthy ones in the nation are aware of the poverty, the people stricken with poverty or no.
Yeah.
Because it's already stated that poverty is the state. So everything it's asking to the respect and
Asking with respect to that.
so
But
already
yeah, now you read this sentence along with the next sentence. Read and continue.
our answer is first one.
Hmm?
Because it is telling there, so there will be referring to the poor people.
Poor people. So now you said B can be the answer.
B no, C.
Hmm?
C.
C. So now
C.
what you do is you read the first three sentences or first four sentences with that option and see if it makes sense. Hmm?
Makes sense because it's literally talking random questions.
It's not really random questions.
It is like then it jumps onto the government or
Now, what does the first sentence say? Okay, let's read it with option C. Okay. Poverty is a state of majority of the world's people and nations. Why is this? Are the wealthy ones in the nation even aware of this? Have they been lazy, made poor decisions, and been solely responsible for their own plight?
because they are asking why is this, and even if people are aware of this, then
Now, if you look at
whose
the
mistake is it?
if you look at the next sentence, have they been lazy and their own plight? Whose plight? The rich people's plight?
Poverty is
No. If you look at the continuity, look at the continuity. Are the wealthy ones in the nation even aware of this? Have they been lazy? Who have been lazy? They. So when you have a pronoun in a sentence, the previous sentence should refer to the pronoun. The antecedent should be there. Right? Do you have an antecedent to they in this sentence in option C? Or even in or even in any of the previous sentences? It says poverty is a state of the majority of the world's people. Right? So all the people are lazy, including the rich people. And whose plight are we talking about? We're talking about the plight of the poor people. So that poor people should come in this particular sentence. Yeah. So if you look at A, it is enough to blame poor people for their own predicament. And the next sentence becomes clear. Right? Are they to be blamed for their own plight? Now clear? So your answer is A. So can we go on to the next question? Huh?
Yes, we can. We can.
We can end for the time.
It's almost 2:50.
Almost.
15 minutes break.
अभी 4 मिनट है
15 मिनट की वेट करता है
4 मिनट में 2 questions हो जाते हैं yeah 1 minute per question is all you will get. Okay, let's try this one. You can read this. Huh?
Let's do the fourth one. Yes, yes. We
Come
can do the
on, this is the fourth one.
program.
Yeah.
Homework now. Homework.
Fourth one for homework.
Yes.
Okay. Mark it for homework and remember to do it. Okay, fifth one. Chalo, do this. Have you identified any keyword in the two sentences on the two sides of the blank? Hmm? What can you eliminate? So it's talking about next to China, India is the most populated country in the world. Right? And then the next sentence is particularly rush to technical and higher education. So it's saying particularly rush to technical and higher education, something specific. So what should come in the previous sentence? A general related to the rush.
Yes.
Right? So what would be your answer? Hmm? A, we can. Keeping this in mind, government has provided concessions, but it doesn't relate to particularly rush to. B, naturally there is too much rush and competition in every field because of the population. There is rush, particularly there is rush. So B can. D, C,
It can't fit.
rush to higher education is lesser, and then you say there is a rush to this.
Yes.
There's a contradiction.
Yes.
So C eliminated. D, is it in the scope?
No, it's not.
It's not in the scope.
It's talking about the entire.
Right? So only answer is B, and that fits in properly. Right? Hmm? So now, are these questions? Can you deal with these questions without practice? No. So now what you will do is you will. Okay, we did till question 5, not question 4. So question number 15 तक हम लोग के लिए कर सकते हो? That much you can do. If you can do further, it will be good. Full one, full exercise. 30 questions. Right? Okay, till 20. Yeah, try. So I'm not giving 2 exercises, only till question 20. So we've done 4 questions, so that makes us 19 questions to do. Okay? Do the questions, try to see how much time you are taking to do the questions. So now initially it may happen that you take 2 to 3 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes. But that's okay as long as you practice the reasoning. Yeah. So read, try to find out a way around it. So your own tricks you have to come up with, right? Okay then. So this was a little heavy. But we get heavier from here. So we'll be dealing with more of these questions, and then when we get to okay, we'll do reading comprehension at the end. And we'll after this, so next lesson we'll do this again. And okay, I hope you are aware that next Saturday and Sunday we are going to have work.
Next Saturday and Sunday. Saturday also 4 hours.
नहीं 4 hours नहीं 2 hours मैथ्स नहीं होगा 2 बजे
Sunday also 2 hours.
Sunday 2 hours global
So maths नहीं है. Then what?
logical reasoning होगा कि नहीं I don't know Manish may take class I'm not sure you have to check the timetable in the week. Okay, so Saturday you will come prepared with these 20 questions. Okay. So all your doubts, ये answer क्यों नहीं होना चाहिए, ये क्यों होना चाहिए, write them down. So we I'd welcome a heated discussion on the answers. Okay? Okay then. Harini, Soham, Yashom.
Yes, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Thank you. Good day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye. You have any class after this?
Yes.
Yeah. This time.
This.
This is fine. So this is छुट्टी जा रही है ना इसलिए. So I leave this.